Be taking you through the very dynamic world of gaming and how it's impacting the Indian economy, taking it a step further.
I'm Toya Singh. Let's also take you through everything else we have. It's a very, very fun episode right here on the show. All right, first up, as we promised, we'll be taking a deep dive into gaming in India, what it can mean for India's economy. So we're going to talk a little bit about building India's gaming future. We'll be taking a look at Made in India games. We already know the gaming industry has grown. The user base in India is huge. But what about Made in India games? Can they drive digital transformation? Can they be global flagships? Are they already global flagships? We'll take a look at that and more here on the show.
Also on the program, we meet the Tamil enthusiast Brian. He's a California boy who fell in love with the Tamil language, has spent several decades now in India and talks about his love for the language, which has now taken him to make a documentary as well. Here's a chat that will come up.
And after that, you've been hearing all about it on social media. We're here to tell you that there is no need to panic. HMPV is not a new virus. We have what the experts have to say here on the show. It's not a pandemic threat, and the Health Ministry has already clarified that. But we'll talk a little bit more in depth about it and what the experts have to say.
Also coming up on the show, the Ather 450X, the magic twist or an electric dream. Overdrive verdict coming up on the first review of the Ather 450X. Alright, India's digital transformation has been nothing short of remarkable. Poised to hit $1 trillion digital economy by 25-26. We're already there now. According to the report by Observer Research Foundation, the country is now on track to achieve a $300 billion electronics industry and a $1 trillion digital economy as well, like we said, potentially contributing to about 18 to 23% of the national GDP. And while sectors like fintech, e-commerce have led the charge, one industry that's rapidly gaining momentum is online gaming.
Right, and it's such an exciting industry. Global titles like PUBG, Free Fire, they've already proven the massive potential, generating thousands of crores in revenue. They are economic powerhouses with vast user bases based right here in India. But some reports and studies say that there's a catch. The games that are growing in India aren't Indian. Some reports have said that India's own gaming companies are struggling to claim their share of a lucrative market. So what's holding the country back? Why are global companies reaping the rewards compared to Indian developers? Is that the fair analysis? And if it is, what can we do to change that? To understand a little bit more on this topic and to understand it in depth, we'll have a few experts joining us here on the show. We'll start off first with Vaibhav Chavan. He is the Underdog Studio founder and game director, and he'll be with us to tell us a little bit more. Vaibhav, thank you for joining us here on the show. Vaibhav, you're someone that not just has founded their own studio, you also run a channel where you educate future gamers, people who want to be in the industry, women, men, you're big on gender parity there. So we'll ask you a lot about where the gaming industry stands right now. First, we just want to understand, give us some numbers and an overview. What does the gaming industry look like if you're a gamer? How big are Indian gamers, and how big is it? How does it look if you're a creator? So someone like you who's out there creating games in a studio.
Firstly, thanks a lot for arranging this because there's a big gap in terms of the game creators versus the gamers in India. India has roughly around 700 or more than 700 companies today, smaller studios, bigger studios, 3 to 4% of big studios who are into proper gaming businesses, but a lot of smaller studios trying to make bigger games, which can put India on a global map. And that's been a struggle for few years, and there are a lot of obstacles that come, various policies, lack of knowledge sharing that happens. But it has always been a case that the game development sector has always been, not so much into the limelight. Compare that with the gaming audience, the gamers. You might have seen a big surge of gamers, the streamers that came in post COVID who actually started playing games, and there's a lot of hype around that. But when it comes to actually making games, a lot of Indian gaming studios are majorly focusing on real money gaming sectors where a lot of revenue has been done. We have seen around 3,000 or 3,000 odd crores revenue made from India, but majority of that percentage is coming from real money gaming. So the pure play games that we are making, some of the studios who are actually building games which are free to play, mobile or even PC and console, that are not really coming out in limelight, and there are a lot of things which come across these things.
I see. Interesting. We also have Vishal Gondal joining us, the CEO of Goki. Vishal, is it fair to say at this point that while the gaming customer in India seems to be an expanding base, the gaming producers in India are shrinking? Is that a fair analysis? And if yes, why?
So it's really unfortunate that unlike let's say OTT platforms where Indian content dominates, whether it is Netflix, YouTube, everywhere Indian creators are dominating content platforms. Gaming, which is the biggest industry, has a problem. Currently, if you look at the top 100 games in India, I would say 99% of them will be foreign. And not just foreign, most of them are going to be owned directly or indirectly by Chinese companies. So the problem is not only that they are foreign, they're owned directly, indirectly by Chinese companies. These companies have invested billions into game creation. They have some amazing game engine technologies, and they have a free ride in the Indian market today. Compared to that, to develop a decent game, it does require millions of dollars in investments. And not just investments, you need talent, you need gaming engines, gaming technology. So there is just like any other, any other sector like automobile or even mobile phone manufacturing, you need an ecosystem. So that ecosystem is missing. So while Indian gamers are enjoying and playing a lot of games worldwide, some of the big games, for example, PUBG, and I don't know what is this new name in India, but PUBG is doing close to 1,000 crores of revenue in India. There's questions around where the data is going, all that. That's a different discussion. But I think there is a challenge. And I think it's also partly because the sector has got very little investment from the VCs. The VCs mostly invested in the real money gaming business. All the investors focused on where they thought that there is quick wins versus the gaming industry. So I think that the opportunity is very big. In fact, it is bigger than the media and entertainment business, right? So while we see so much money flowing into media entertainment, gaming is currently still very, very behind from an India perspective.
But Vishal, if I could just stay with you to ask you, you're someone who's been creating games since all the way back in the 90s. During the Kargil War, you actually came up with a game and then have led the idea of India Games, if it's fair to say. Not only your own company, but the idea of games standing for something patriotic. That's something you very much spearheaded. I want to ask you, you've worked with companies like Disney that are huge global behemoths. Not only that, you've also worked with VCs. So where is that problem? There are VCs, there are global companies looking to come in. Why aren't we seeing that ecosystem then get created?
So I think the problem is very simple, right? Nobody is investing in making local IPs. There are very few companies, Vaibhav, for example, is working on an IP on the PlayStation. We, by the way, in close collaboration with the movie star Akshay Kumar, are now launching 4G, which is going to be a very big game expected to launch, for which we have partnered with Nazara. Nazara is the only listed gaming company. So India just has started getting some kind of financial muscle in the gaming industry. So previously there were no listed companies, no analysts were tracking this industry. And now that there is some spotlight, the question like what you are asking is that, hey, all these billions of dollars are great, but who's taking that money? The reality is bulk of that money is going out of India, and not a single game developer is getting a dollar out of the gaming industry.
That's actually quite fascinating, because looking at the number of consumption, there seems to be a massive divide there on how India is consuming games versus how India is making games, which brings me to, Vaibhav as well. Vaibhav, then how do we bridge this gap at this point? Can you tell us a little bit from a gaming producer's perspective, what is the lack? One, of course, is funding. As Vishal also spoke about, is there also lack of talent? Is there lack of infrastructure? Is it regulation? What is it?
I think it's little bit of everything. Like Vishal sir said, right? The primary problem is investments, and the thing that investment is not happening is because there are not enough case studies. Also, India has not done that before, and it's quite a nascent stage for the gaming industry today. The second problem is, yes, we don't have a great ecosystem. If you look at the West, you see European countries, they have a very collaborative approach while they create games. India does not really have that at this moment. We've seen this gap of expertise, especially like today we are building a game called Mukti, which is a first person exploration game, and it revolves around human trafficking. But a subject like that, which is very social, right? We tried raising funds before, but we couldn't. But then last year, Sony PlayStation came in India, and they handpicked 5 studios from India. Now, their idea of building an ecosystem is completely different. You can't give someone $10 million and tell them to create a AAA title, a bigger game. You need that kind of expertise and that technical support that bigger players can come in and support you with, which is what Sony is today doing with us. And that is how we are trying to create, an exceptional quality, visual quality game from India, which can dominate global market. So if we are building it today, tomorrow we'll create that culture, that DNA within the studio, which can then spread across different verticals, right? People from our company would start their own companies, and that's how the actual ecosystem will build, and people will start creating more and more games, right? So that ecosystem is missing. The third problem I feel is the institutions and the colleges. There is a very few so if you talk about engineering, right, you have an engineering college in India where a student goes and becomes an engineer. A doctor, for MBBS also, you go there and you become a doctor, right? There's nothing in India where you go and become a game developer. So, there are a lot of institutes which are just struggling to create that curriculum which can help you become something. There are a lot of institutes which can actually, which have these titles like game design and development course, but at the end of the day, they teach just the artwork, which is not the reality of the Indian gaming industry. And that's what, I personally also have been teaching, and which also have recently started on, social media channels where we try to put out content which belongs to the industry, which is the real practical use of it, right? So government should basically start creating these incubators, say accelerators, hackathons, and also inculcate that understanding from the school levels itself, which can then eventually 5-10 years later we'll have a great amount of talent from India.
So an ecosystem for incubation. Sorry, go ahead, Vishal.
Yeah, I think I just want to add one other thing, like just like other industries where there's technology transfer being an important thing, the reality is that these companies are operating, there is no technology transfer. So, there needs to be, just like, the automobile or any other industry where government is insisting that, listen, you need to make in India. So get your gaming technology into India, get an Indian JV partner of some kind if need be. Because while we are opening our market, the reality is that none of the technology is coming to India, and which is part of the problem. So I think the government, because you can't launch your game in China, it's a closed market, but we are letting these companies directly or indirectly come here without any local benefit. So I think the framework is already there for other industries, which has been done, and I don't know why we are not focused on this.
Right.
The other thing about gaming industry, which is kind of unique, is just like any other creative industry, you need many shots on the goal. You can't just have two games and expect them to be hits and say, "Arey, gaming industry is not doing well." You need hundreds of games to be made for one or two or three to be hit, just like the movie or entertainment business. So there is a very the content quantity and quality both needs to be improved. So just funding 2-3 games and expecting these 2-3 games to become global hits
Yeah.
is again a fallacy.
Yeah.
Can we ask though, Vishal, I do want to ask you, you're someone who's been doing this since you were 16 years old. If someone is a young 16 or 17-year-old creator here who wants to create video games, we've highlighted, what could be the possible problems. A lack of incubation systems, for example. You've said a lack of frameworks. But Vishal, when you look at India, what are the exciting things coming out of the country when it comes to games that are being developed, exciting parts in the country where there are incubation systems that are growing? What do you see that excites you and makes you optimistic?
See, today, thanks to generative AI and a lot of open source gaming engines, anybody sitting from their bedroom can create a very high quality game. Today, I think because of the technology, the bar of how much investment we need is going down. Also, I would say that we need to focus on uniqueness. I think the only shining example of a game which is made in India, which is successful, is a game called Ludo King. And it's a that's the only game. I would say that's
It's
the
just
only
nostalgia.
example.
Yeah.
And Ludo King was made with a very small studio. I think when they made it, they were less than 10 people. Maybe now they are a little bigger, but they are the great example of how they created almost the category of Ludo King. So I think that just how Ludo King was created, there are a million other, there are stories from our mythology and there are stories from so many other things, and there is, there are so many local games. So I think there is an opportunity to innovate.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the problem is that there is absolutely very, very limited investment available. Good news is that government has created AVCG policy. They have announced that they are going to do a center of excellence in Mumbai. So they are saying the right thing. PM Modi has talked about Make in India gaming. So I think that the government also is kind of aware of this, and we are just hoping that now with the industry and the government coming together, we are going to make sure that our gamers are finally playing the games which are made in India.
Wow, that is quite nice, Vishal and Vaibhav. Thank you so much for highlighting the issues, the opportunities, and just giving us a sense of what gaming in India is looking at. Thank you both. I think one bit that we didn't touch upon was how these game development actually happens, not just for games, but for various other things, for health, etc. There's a massive gamification that is actually happening in India, but that's a story perhaps for another day. For the moment, we are going to slip into a break. Coming up on the other side, we have a very interesting chat with somebody who is been a California boy, but now more Tamilians than any person staying in Tamil Nadu. The story of Brian coming up on the other side.
We're a little pressed for time because we only have a couple hours of daylight, so we got to see everything, but we're really excited to be here. Thank you guys so much. Just here as tourists, seeing it, looks like an incredible place. We've been talking about going for a while. I was actually supposed to be here last spring for some of the stuff I do in my free time, but just really excited to be here. Awesome country. The scenery coming in was just spectacular, so just very excited to be here. Thank you. He says hello. Okay. We were talking to him yesterday, so he says hello to everyone in Greenland.
Okay, are you still interested in buying Greenland?
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. How's it going, guys? Hi, how are you? Everyone doing well? Hi, how are you? I'm doing great. Yourself? Hi, how are you guys? It's a little colder here than it is in Florida.
Well, a lot of things could be done. I mean, essentially, it's a large real estate deal. A lot of things could be done. It's hurting Denmark very badly because they're losing almost $700 million a year carrying it. So they carry it at a great loss. And strategically for the United States, it would be nice. And we're a big ally of Denmark, and we help Denmark, and we protect Denmark, and we will.
South Carolina, 50 delegates who were falling down delegates, 50 Trump.
Can you talk about Governor Penn?
Jesse's my campaign.
Okay, well, that's
Here we are. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So the compact way.
Welcome back to the Breakfast Club. Now for a person of interest, Brian. Brian is a California native who's fallen deeply in love with the Tamil language.
Now, Brian's journey is very interesting. It's a must hear. Not only is he an American who's passionate about Tamil, but he joins us this morning to share his incredible story of actually learning the language, which is not so simple, embracing its culture and even making a documentary about it, even marrying a Tamilian as well. So let's get in straight with him. Hi, good morning. Brian, thanks so much for joining us. We would love to sort of understand from you first and foremost what sparked your initial interest in the language. We are made to understand you were just 19 and that's when the Tamil Kida really bit you.
Sure. For me, it started way back in high school in California. There are a lot of other Tamil students in my high school. I lived in an area in California that was very diverse. People from all backgrounds were there. And so I heard Tamil for the first time in high school. And how how someone might pick up the piano as a hobby, or someone who might like to learn the guitar, I decided, hey, I'm going to learn this language. I'm going to learn Tamil. What struck me first was it was a very sweet sounding language. The great poet Mahakavi Bharadiyat said, "Yam arinda morigalile, Tamil mori pol ini dabadu yengum kanom," which means out of all the languages we know, none has the sweetness of Tamil. And that was sort of how I got into it at that point. After that, studying with students at school, during recesses and during sports breaks and it was just, I couldn't quite advance to the level that I would like to, which would mean I would need to do something more radical. I decided to go to Madurai, the heart of Tamil Nadu, find a teacher, and I was able to find someone who was a retired Tamil professor and stay with him in a traditional Guru Sishya method, live with him. He took me in, I came as a stranger, but he treated me as family, showed me warm hospitality. And from the very early on, the very basic building blocks of the Tamil language he taught me. And I studied maybe 3 summers with him in Madurai. And so that was a fabulous experience. From there, I went to, I did my master's in Tamil language and literature, and I finished that as well. So, and all of this really gave me the background that I would need to pull off this documentary that we're just finishing. Because I had exposure to the variety, the different aspects in the literatures and the different regional dialects that I encountered when traveling in Tamil Nadu, it was perfect to help complete this film.
So, Brian, we'll ask you about the documentary in a little bit of depth, but first, can you just share with us some experiences from when you went back and actually learned Tamil from a professor 3 decades ago in Madurai?
Some fond memories are my teacher giving me some of the grammar, some of the more formal, theoretical building blocks that I would need to speak Tamil. But then, since I was there in Madurai, I'm able to now go out, do my morning lessons with him, and then I can go out in the streets and mingle with people. I would frequently go to, if I learned a new word like, say, tomato, and tomato in Tamil is takali. So if that's the word of the day, I can go to the local shops and say, takali yabalanga, and the takali yabal yenavela. So how much is this? How much does this cost? And I would go from shop to shop to shop, even though I'm not buying too many tomatoes. I can at least repeat it and kind of learn the language patterns and interact with different people, hear different voices back and forth. And that reinforcement and that immersion was really very helpful to try to advance my Tamil.
Yeah. One can see that your love for the language, Brian, and your dedication for it as well. You have a Tamilian wife as well. But I just want to understand why Tamil and not anything else? What is it that draws you so much towards this language?
It's purely the way it sounds. It's really that gripping. Like if you love music and you heard say jazz bebop for the first time, you heard John Coltrane for the first time, or if you like more operatic or opera type singing, you hear that for the first time and you say, that's what I want to do. So when I heard Tamil for the first time back at that American high school, it's like, that's what I want to do. There's something about that language, the way it rolls off the tongue, that just is so, the sound itself is compelling.
But even within that, there are different dialects, right? So can you just tell us a little bit, first just tell us about the documentary that you're working on, but also what it's been like to shape it. The
Beyond Words Stories from Tamil Landscapes, the documentary film, is really a celebration of Tamil arts, Tamil traditions, Tamil culture, and of course Tamil language. Originally, language was going to be the only pillar that we sort of explored throughout the film. And so starting on that, the original idea actually came from my frequent visits to my guru in Madurai. As I came several times to visit him, I noticed the different regional dialects. They always were just so captivating, and how they sounded so starkly different. And I thought a film would be an interesting way to explore them and capture them for everyone to see all in one place. So starting to march down that path of documenting the Tamil dialects, when we interviewed people in different regions, we started noticing different art forms, whether it's song or dance, and we sort of thought, why don't we fold in more of the culture and more of the performative arts into the film? Talk to people, talk to the performers, but have them speak in their own regional dialect when they tell us about their art form. So we married the two of the language together with the art forms, and that sort of carried forward the rest of the film as we went all through the different regions, including Malaysia, Singapore, and we also covered aspects of Sri Lanka.
Nice. So it's been quite a wholesome experience for you, but Brian, just on the scale of learning a language which is so different from your own mother tongue, could you give us a bit on what has been the toughest part about learning Tamil?
toughest part has to be some of the aspects in the Tamil language that are not in English, which is my mother tongue, right? And for example, American English, you have one L. Tamil, you have three L's you have to learn. Three L's you have to learn to deal with. One is in the front of the mouth, sounds like il. Another is in the middle, where the tip of the tongue goes to the roof of the mouth, ir. And you have a third one that folds the tongue way back to the throat, ir. And that's the one that's very unique to Tamil. It's you hear it clearly in the word for fruit, which is pargam. And the pargam it accentuates that sound. And those are very difficult sounds to learn for a Westerner or for anyone who doesn't know Tamil at all. Tamurikku, ra, aragu. So these three words, so the beauty in Tamil is the ra letter. Is what that sentence means. That's a great sentence to practice because each word contains that letter. That was probably one of the hardest things. Another is actually the duration of vowels. This is common to all the Indian languages where you have e, like the duration matters. It'll change meaning if you don't hold the vowel long enough. This doesn't exist in at least in American English. And you can get very different meanings, completely separate meanings than you're intending if you don't hold the vowel long enough. For example, avan poi sonnan versus avan poi tonan. Poi versus poi. One is he went there and told. The other is he is a liar. So it's very significant to hold the vowel length the correct way. And that's also very hard to pick up. Even today, even though I've been studying for well over 20 years, I struggle with hearing and identifying the length of the vowel to notice what other people are saying, to comprehend correctly. But also not only that, but to reproduce. I have to be careful to hold it myself when I speak back.
So fascinating, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. It's making me also aware of the beautiful nuances of all Indian languages. What would you say is the sweetest gift learning this language has given you?
Good question. Just the joy of being able to understand what's being spoken around me. Just going back to the example of a musician or someone who likes opera and hears opera. When I'm in Tamil Nadu or Malaysia or Singapore and I hear the Tamil spoken around me, it's just a joyful experience. That's how powerful the Tamil language is.
Yeah, it is. Thank you, Brian, for that. Before we let you go, do you have a message for TBC viewers in Tamil and hopefully for all of us a translation as well?
நிறைய பேர் எனக்கு தமிழ் பொறுமையாக சொல்லி கொடுத்துருக்காங்க அவங்க எல்லாத்துக்கும் ரொம்ப நன்றி. In English, there are many people who have patiently taught me Tamil, and I would like to with a heartfelt thanks, thank them.
Sweet.
How lovely. All right, Brian, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for sharing with us what it is that the language has taught you and making us so aware of how beautiful, how cool, frankly, the language is.
All right, with that, we're going to slip into another break. But on the other side, we bring you everything you need to know about the HMPV virus. There is nothing to panic is what all headlines are saying. But what are the details? Let's separate some fact from fiction on the other side.
बात जब अपने
How's it going, guys? We're a little pressed for time because we only have a couple hours of daylight, so we got to see everything, but we're really excited to be here. Thank you guys so much. Just here as tourists, seeing it looks like an incredible place. We've been talking about going for a while. I was actually supposed to be here last spring for some of the stuff I do in my free time, but just really excited to be here. Awesome country. The scenery coming in was just spectacular. So just very excited to be here. Thank you. He says hello. Okay. We were talking to him yesterday, so he says hello to everyone in Greenland.
Okay, are you still interested in buying Greenland?
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. How's it going, guys? Hi, how are you? Everyone doing well? Hi, how are you? I'm doing great. Yourself? Hi, how are you guys? It's a little colder here than it is in Florida.
Well, a lot of things could be done. I mean, essentially, it's a large real estate deal. A lot of things could be done. It's hurting Denmark very badly because they're losing almost $700 million a year carrying it. So they carry it at a great loss. And strategically for the United States, it would be nice. And we're a big ally of Denmark, and we help Denmark, and we protect Denmark, and we will.
South Carolina, 50 delegates from the following delegates. 50 Trump.
Jesse's my campaign.
Okay, for that.
Here we are. Thank you very much.
So the compact way.
Here in Greenland, we need to have some growth. We need to have some economic growth and diversify our economy. And of course, we welcome our
Welcome back. It's our time on the program when we take you through stories from India and across the globe. Let's start with what we've lined up for you, and this news coming in from Meta. In a number of sweeping changes that will significantly alter the way that posts, videos and other content are moderated online, Meta will now adjust its content review policies on Facebook and Instagram and get rid of fact checkers and replacing them with user-generated, what they call our community notes. Now, similar to Elon Musk's CEO Mark Zuckerberg announced on Tuesday that the changes come just before President-elect Donald Trump is set to take office. Trump and other Republicans have also been at Zuckerberg and Meta for what they view are censorship to right-wing voices.
And next we take you to a remarkable feat where the Kerala police are saying they solved a 2006 murder case, that's basically after 19 years, by using AI to secure the arrest of two individuals. The allegation is those two individuals killed a woman and her twin children. In 2023, the technical intelligence wing of the Kerala police actually first turned to artificial intelligence to re-examine this case. Essentially, what was a wedding photo that then surfaced on social media that bared a 90% similarity to this more recent photo. That's what provided a breakthrough for investigators.
India's first generation beta baby was born in Aizawl, Mizoram, 3 minutes into 2025. The child named Frankie was 12:03 a.m. on January 1st, 2025. Generation Beta is the name given to children born between 2025 and 2039.
And let's take a look at the world of glamour, where Kareena Kapoor Khan welcomed the new year, celebrating, as you can see maybe in those visuals behind, from Switzerland, particularly Gstaad in Switzerland. She was joined by her husband Saif Ali Khan, their sons Taimur and Jay, and her holiday getaway was and is being looked at for the style. She stole the show in that dazzling gold-tone metallic dress that screamed red carpet glamour. Captioning the photo, headed home with this mood for 2025. All right, let's now take a moment to talk about something that has left everyone talking. The HMPV virus. It has been making the rounds on social media with some alarming visuals and news seemingly coming out of China. But before you hit the panic button, we thought it's important to set the record straight. This is not another pandemic in the making.
That's correct.
HMPV is, well, pretty ordinary. It's not a new virus, and most of us have already probably had it before, thinking it was just a cold or flu. So no, it's not the next big threat.
And this is not what we are saying. This is what experts, doctors in the country, path labs who've been sort of looking at it for several years are saying. In fact, experts say that there is no need to be alarmed at all. Why the sudden headlines, then, you wonder? Well, turns out that better surveillance is simply detecting cases that were always there. So the real message here is to stay informed, not panicked, and keep up with your hygiene habits. Wash your hands, stay at home if you're sick, and you'll be fine. If not, just wear an N95 mask. To break it all down for us and separate the facts from fear, here's Himani from News18.com.
It all started with alarming visuals emerging from China linked to the human metapneumovirus, HMPV. These visuals went viral on social media, sparking global fears, with many interpreting this as a potential resurgence of COVID-19 pandemic. To curb the panic in India, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare released a statement clarifying that the situation in China is not unusual given the ongoing flu season. The Indian Health Ministry clarified that HMPV is not a new virus. In fact, in India, influenza viruses, RSV and HMPV are the usual pathogens expected to circulate and infect people during the winter season. The World Health Organization has also not sounded any alarm so far. HMPV was isolated for the first time in the Netherlands in 2001, and since then it has been detected worldwide. RSV, or respiratory syncytial virus, is the most closely related pathogen to HMPV. From the country's top epidemiologists to renowned scientists, several credible voices have clarified that there is no need to be alarmed about human metapneumovirus or HMPV, considering it is not harmful. In fact, you and I could have been infected with HMPV almost every year, mistaking it for a common cold or flu. Only small children who haven't been exposed to this virus and therefore do not have antibodies against it could be at very minor risk. Similarly, those with low immunity, such as people with certain medical conditions or the elderly, are vulnerable. However, such individuals are vulnerable to any virus, not just HMPV. And when we say vulnerable, in this case, it does not mean hospitalization or death. It typically means a longer illness. A pandemic cannot be caused by a common or ordinary virus. For a pandemic to occur, we would need a novel virus like SARS-CoV-2, one that humanity has never encountered before and against which there is no existing immunity in our body. Coming to the next big question, Why are states like Karnataka and Gujarat now reporting their first case, second case, or subsequent cases? It is because surveillance for HMPV has been ramped up. Until now, this virus was treated like an ordinary virus, like common cold virus, and no one paid much attention to its circulation. Now that states are actively testing for it, cases are being reported. In conclusion, HMPV is very unlikely, in fact very, very unlikely to cause the next pandemic. We can avoid its infection by adopting standard precautions, such as practicing hand hygiene. We must remember to wash our hands with soap for at least 20 seconds. Experts also recommend that unwell people should stay at home to prevent spreading the infection to others. Recovery from HMPV typically takes about 3 to 7 days.
All right, so that was Himani telling you the latest on HMPV. But let's take a look at AQI and the pollution meter this morning. And today we're doing things a little differently. We've got a full pan-India figure and numbers for you. If you see, we keep concentrating upon Delhi and NCR all the time. Yes, it is a place where it is maximum, concentrated and bad AQI. But even other parts of the country, if you see, going up to 435, this is actually in the Anthony Pillai Nagar in Gumidipodi area. There is another one which is coming in from Ramanagaram in Vijayanagar, which is also quite bad. So there are pockets, and largely urban pockets, which seem to be throwing up really bad AQI. Reports have been off late coming out that it's not just Delhi, like we said, it's the urban centers like Delhi, like even like Mumbai and even Kolkata, which have seen an average of, in this winter season, around 300 or so, which is really bad. But let's zoom in a little bit to see how Delhi NCR is at the moment doing. Let me try and get those numbers over there. And here you see numbers going between 88 to about 255. The highest here seems to be 255. If we zoom in further in Delhi NCR region, you get to understand that this is where the numbers are frankly going between around 150 to 255. 255 coming in from Srinivaspuri in Delhi. There are others area like 200 that are coming in from Hapur. Amongst the cleaner patches, greener patches, that seems to be coming in from Gurugram, just 75. Finally, a smiley face that we see on the AQI meter, and several others also ranging between them. At the moment, we had expected it to rain over the starting of the first half of the week. It hasn't happened so far, but the wind velocity has ensured that the numbers haven't escalated further. At the moment, no GRAP 3 has been enforced.
Okay, and now if you're in an area where the air quality is good enough to actually step out to go on a bike ride, we're excited to share with you our first review of the 2025 Ather 450X. This is, of course, with overdrive. We're going to be talking a little bit about this sleek electric scooter. It's been making waves in the auto world. We got to take it for a spin, and there's a lot of buzz over its advanced features, improved performance, and sleek design. But the question obviously is this scooter a game changer? And overdrive gets you the verdict. Take a look.
6 months ago, Ather launched the Rista, which was focused on comfort and convenience. But today we are standing next to the 2025 450X. Now, this one is touted as the bike of scooters. What are the updates here? 2 new tires, the Ather Stack 6, you get 2 new colors, multiple traction control, and the magic wrist mode, the magic pull mode. Now, what does all of that bring to the table for the 450X? I'm going to tell you all about that in detail. But before I start the video, I'm going to ask you to subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon to stay updated to all the videos that we do. Welcome to Overdrive, ladies and gentlemen, and this is the 450X. Let's take a quick look at the bike because nothing much has changed in terms of components. You still get the 12-inch tires, disc brakes up front and at the rear. These are the new tires though, the MRF Zapper E-Tread tires. The aim here is to focus on extending the range of the scooter. You have 2 new colors, so there's this Hyper Sand and Stealth Blue. This is my favorite of the two. It has these orange accents which adds to the sporty look of the bike. The fenders and the panels, they are quite neat, and you have a single piece seat over here, grab rails for the pillion. Now when it comes to features, it is tech loaded. First of all, you get Magic Twist, which has been brought down from the Apex to the X, which also helps in regen, and you can also complete a full stop, a proper halt, by twisting the throttle the other way around. The Magic Twist was first seen on the 450 Apex, and now it has been brought down to the X. And it is very easy to use. Unlike most EVs that have regen levels that are engaged by the tap of a button, the Magic Twist here engages regenerative functions at negative input of the throttle. The moment you twist the throttle the other way around, the system engages regenerative braking, and once engaged, it also gets you to a complete halt. It may take some conscious effort to integrate that to your system, but once you are used to it, it's a fine and unique alternative for braking in traffic and congestion. Now when it comes to the performance of the new 2025 Ather 450X, nothing much has changed because the company still offers the 2.9 kWh battery pack and the 3.7 kWh battery pack, but still gets the 26 Newton meters of peak torque. The company says that the true world range of the 2.9 kWh battery has jumped to 110 kilometers and the 3.7 kWh battery has jumped to 130 kilometers. Now I cannot validate that right now because we are limited on time and we are on a track. But the riding dynamics, they remain the same. It's pretty nimble to handle. It's quite light on its feet. It's very easy and fun to ride. You can slice and dice through traffic like nobody's business, especially with the warp mode. So there are 4 modes available. There's warp, there is sport, there is ride, and there is eco. So eco meaning the most frugal of the modes, and warp is where your responses are quite adhered to. So at the flick of the throttle, there's oodles of torque available, and those overtakes are super fun. It's super easy. The braking duties are done by disc brakes on both wheels, and they do a fine job of dropping the anchors when the occasion calls for it. The bite on the front rotor is a little sharp as compared to the rear one. The rear brake has more progression and the front one takes some time getting used to. The rider triangle remains to be quite neutral and comfortable. Taller riders might complain about the lack of knee room, but for the average Indian height, there is ample amount of space to wiggle around. The suspension setup is on the firmer side of things, but the ride does not become bone-jarring or too uncomfortable. Actually, the ride experience in itself is so engaging that it made me forget about the undulations or turbulence I felt while riding on a rough patch or broken tarmac. Now there are multiple traction modes that have been offered with the new iteration of the 450X. Here you have road, rally, and rain. So the rain is where the traction mode intervenes a little when it senses that there's a slight slippage of traction, but the rally mode is where you can have proper fun because it is where you can probably twist the throttle and get some action on the rear wheel where it's slipping, but yet you are having fun. You can do burnouts and stuff like that. So something like that on an electric scooter like this, it's actually quite fun to have. And also you can turn off the traction control to go proper all out, all those skids and sliding turns that you can have. But apart from that, I think it's a very fun scooter to have. The TFT screen could use some improvement when it comes to calibrations. It is a good unit, but while navigating through the interface, it stutters a tad bit, and similarly, the joystick on the handlebar lags a little when browsing through the quick selection menu. This could have been a glitch on the test unit that I was riding, but when I was trying to change the traction control while on the move, it does work while making you work for it. Should have been a seamless affair. But these are minor niggles and not something that sticks out like a sore thumb. And we hope these issues are ironed out in the production version. Now the 2025 Ather 450X can be yours for a next showroom price of this. For the amount of money, you get new tires, the Magic Twist throttle, traction control system, and a claimed extended range. Having said that, I think this is one of the better looking scooters out there, especially if you want to have fun. It is good to look at, it is easy to ride. That's it from my side on this one. Always wear your helmets, always wear your seat belts, stay safe. I'll see you on the next one.
All right, next we bring you a special section on financial markets powered by Money Control Pro, Money Control's premium destination for investing and business insights. Let's take a look first at markets. where GIFT Nifty is indicating a muted opening for Indian stock markets. Asian stock markets opened lower on Wednesday. They're tracking the losses in US equities. US markets closed lower. This is on concerns that a rise in inflation can slow monetary policy easing that is taking place by the Fed Reserve. Crude oil prices rise early on Wednesday morning today.
Let's look at sectors now, and the one in focus today is aquaculture. The sector's financial performance has been sluggish due to stiff competition in international markets, but Ecuador has emerged as a shrimp export powerhouse in the last decade, taking the market share away from India, Vietnam and even Indonesia. However, Ecuador is facing a tough economic environment, and Indian shrimp exporters stand to regain market share over there. The shrimp market is starting 2025 on a positive note as a low-cost pipeline inventory across China, the US and the Europe has depleted. You can log into Money Control Pro to find out more about India's aquaculture sector and various other actionable insights on the markets. It's a premier destination for all the investing views and financial insights you will ever need, brought to you by Money Control.
All right, and with that, we're drawing our show to a close this Tuesday morning. What are we taking a look at through the rest of the week? I said Tuesday morning. It's not Tuesday morning, it's Wednesday. We're deeper into the week than I thought earlier.
She needs some sleep and coffee. We'll see you tomorrow. Tata.
Goodbye. See you.
Co-powered by
daylight, so we got to see everything, but we're really excited to be here. Thank you guys so much. Just here as tourists, seeing it looks like an incredible place. We've been talking about going for a while. I was actually supposed to be here last spring for some of the stuff I do in my free time, but just really excited to be here. Awesome country. The scenery coming in was just spectacular, so just very excited to be here. Thank you. He says hello. Okay. We were talking to him yesterday, so he says hello to everyone in Greenland.
Okay, are you still interested in buying Greenland?
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. How's it going, guys? Hi, how are you? Doing well? Hi, how are you? I'm doing great. Yourself? Hi, how are you guys? It's a little colder here than it is in Florida.
Well, a lot of things could be done. I mean, essentially, it's a large real estate deal. A lot of things could be done. It's hurting Denmark very badly because they're losing almost $700 million a year carrying it. So they carry it at a great loss. And strategically for the United States, it would be nice. And we're a big ally of Denmark, and we help Denmark, and we protect Denmark, and we will.
South Carolina, 50 delegates who were calling out delegates, 50 Trump.
Can you talk about Governor Penn?
This is my campaign.
Oh, okay, for that.
Here we are. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So the compact way.
Hello and good morning. Thank you for tuning into CNN News 18. I'm Shen Elizabeth Matthew. Let's begin this bulletin with the top news this hour, which is coming in from the Parliament. The first meeting of the Joint Parliamentary Committee formed for One Country, One Election will take place in Parliament at about 11 a.m. today. On the opening day, rounds of interaction will happen, followed by a briefing on the bill of the officials of Ministry of Law and Justice. All right, so this is a very crucial meeting of the JPC that is going to take place. Remember, there was in fact an attempt by the government to pass the One Nation, One Poll in the Parliament, in the winter session of the Parliament. And there was in fact, it was not passed, but it was then sent to the JPC. And now the first meeting is going to be held of the JPC today. Let me now go across to my colleague Payal Mehta on this. Payal, a very good morning to you. Very crucial meeting after the kind of showdown that was witnessed in the Parliament over One Nation, One Poll. The first meeting of the Joint Parliamentary Committee is going to take place. Who all are the members? Highlight that, and also what is the agenda today?
You know, Sharon, good morning to our viewers and good morning to you. It's a very, very crucial bill indeed, because that's going to change the reform. That's going to, in fact, reform the electoral process of this entire country over the decades as well. And that's why it's very, very critical. So from the beginning, when the bill was being introduced in the last session of Parliament, when Arjuna Meghwal introduced the bill, back then also Amit Shah had in fact spoken on the floor of the House and said that during the cabinet meeting when the bill was being discussed before its clearance, the Prime Minister's instruction was very, very clear that you need consensus to pass this bill. Obviously, numbers are something that the BJP government needs to pass this bill. But more than anything else, it has to be widely discussed. And that's the reason the Prime Minister himself has suggested that the JPC should be formed and the bill should be sent for Parliament scrutiny. Having said that, there are leaders from various political parties. For example, from Manish Tiwari to Priyanka Gandhi Vadra are part of this committee, on behalf of the Congress party. There's, of course, Kalyan Banerjee on behalf of the Trinamool Congress party. The DMK also has Mr. P. Wilson, a noted lawyer himself as well. Supriya Sule, so multiple leaders, and including on the ruling side, you have the likes of Dr. Shrikant Shinde from the Shiv Sena. You also have members like Anurag Singh Thakur, amongst the others, representing the ruling BJP side as well. So wider consensus is going to be discussed as well, is what we're given to understand. And in the first meeting, there'll be a round of introduction of all the members who are part of the committee. The committee is being chaired by PP Chaudhary, former law minister and a noted constitutional expert in himself as well. And of course, the Ministry of Law and Justice, their officials will be explaining to the committee today on the details of the bill. Normally, the bill, Sharon, whenever it's referred to Parliament scrutiny, is given a time till the last day of the next session as well. But it looks like this is going to be a long haul as far as this bill's discussion is concerned, because not only will they want discussion to happen at the state, at the central level, but even states would be encouraged to participate. Probably speakers would be encouraged to participate in the discussion and debate, because the idea of the Prime Minister essentially, Shireen, was that public needs to be taken into confidence, because eventually they are the biggest stakeholders. They're the ones who actually cast their vote, and they should be taken into confidence. They should be made to understand that this bill is in their interest. It's going to help in curbing black money. It's going to bring in transparency and leave the focus on governance.
Also, Payal, is there a timeline that has been set for the JPC for the discussion? And we know that last time when the attempt was made to pass this as a bill, the numbers were not with the BJP, with the NDA government. So what is going to be the process once the JPC is over? First, tell us that what is the timeline and what is the next process after JPC? What is the next process for this?
Just for the update, Sharon, the government did not try to pass the bill. The government only wanted to introduce the bill, and that introduction had actually happened on the floor of the House. To pass the bill, the government understands that since there are constitutional provisions within the bill, they need two-thirds majority in both houses, which they currently do not have. And that's the reason they want consensus to be built, so that all political parties can come together and first support this bill as well. Like I said, any JPC's term or any committee's term is given till the last day of the upcoming session, and which in this case could be the budget session. But since this is going to be a long drawn bill, this is going to be a long drawn legislation that we're looking at, probably more and more time could be actually extended as far as the bill's conduct is really concerned.
All right. Thank you, Payal, for getting us all those details as far as this crucial meeting of the JPC over One Nation, One Poll is concerned. Now, viewers, as JPC panel on One Nation, One Election meets today at 12 noon today, the CNN News 18 tells you what India wants. 9 questions reveal India's view on simultaneous elections. All right. Now, amid row over memorial for former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, the Union government has given its nod for memorial dedicated to former President late Pranab Mukherjee. Now, Mukherjee passed away in August 2020. The centre has decided to build a memorial at a designated site within the Rashtriya Smriti complex, a part of Rajghat precinct. Now, Smrishta Mukherjee, the daughter of Pranab Mukherjee, has in fact expressed her gratitude to Prime Minister Modi. She said that the decision was unexpected. This development comes amid Pranab Mukherjee's daughter slamming Congress for politicizing Manmohan Singh's memorial, while she questioned the duplicity of the grand old party.
सबसे बड़ी बात जो है, क्योंकि मेरे फादर हमेशा कहते थे कि राष्ट्रीय सम्मान जो हैं, मेमोरियल भी एक राष्ट्रीय सम्मान होते हैं, स्टेट ऑनर्स जो हैं वो कभी मांगा नहीं जाता, इसलिए हमारा परिवार कभी मांगा नहीं, कभी डिमांड नहीं किया, लेकिन बिन मांगे बिना डिमांड किए हुए प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी ने इस बारे में सोचा और उन्होंने खुद ये डिसीजन ली कि बाबा का स्मृति के लिए उनकी ऑनर में ये मेमोरियल बनाया जाएगा. तो इट इज इमेंसली टचिंग एंड मैं उनको और भारत सरकार को अपने दिल की गहराई से आभार व्यक्त करना चाहूंगी.
My sister has put out that post about the government promising a memorial for Pranab Mukherjee. Your first reaction?
Hello.
Mr. Mukherjee?
Yes, please.
Yes, the government is now planning to build a memorial in the memory of Pranab Mukherjee. That's a confirmation that has come from your sister, Sharmishta. Your first reaction to this memorial, to this ode to Pranab Mukherjee?
Definitely, I welcome this move and I'm thankful to the government. But I have not yet received any confirmation from any side. The first thing I think you informed me. It's a good initiative. But now my question is, where is it? Where they'll make this a foundation or this kind of thing, memorial where? Which place? Any idea?
No, the details are not out yet, sir. In fact,
For memorial for Pranab Mukherjee, Congress leader Kuwar Danish Ali says that the move by the government is also being seen as a gift to Pranab Mukherjee for his affinity towards the RSS. I'm now joined by my colleague Pallavi Ghosh on this broadcast. Pallavi, a very good morning to you. What really is the statement that is coming in from Congress leader Danish Ali? And I also want to know, is this what the sentiments of the entire Congress party is regarding this memorial for Pranab Mukherjee?
Well, I mean, Danish Ali will not be seen as an official voice of the Congress party, but frankly speaking, in private, many have been very uncomfortable and were very, very critical when Pranab Mukherjee decided to go to the RSS headquarters in Nagpur. I mean, we know that the Congress discomfort with RSS led by Rahul Gandhi himself. And, you know, many felt that one of the main reasons why the Congress increased its distance from the former president of India was on the grounds that he was seen to be considered to be close to the BJP and also close to the Prime Minister, and also that why did he then go to the RSS headquarters in Nagpur if he claimed that he was a true congressman? He could have always avoided that visit. But, you know, when we talk about the memorial, Shireen, I don't think the Congress party would be wanting to be seen as being very churlish about this. So officially, as of now, no comment has come in. Danish Ali's comment, of course, is going to be seen more as his private opinion. But more importantly, unfortunately or fortunately, the way you want to look at it, many in the Congress party seem to be subscribing to the view of Danish Ali.
But, you know, of course, like you said, Pallavi, there's not going to be any statement that will be made against Pranab Mukherjee by the Congress. But all this is happening amidst the issue over the memorial being set up for Manmohan Singh. So do you think that there is, of course, talks within the party against this?
Yes, absolutely. The Congress feels, Sharina, and you cover, and you also get this sense that they feel that why is it that the BJP is showing a disrespect for Dr. Manmohan Singh and not even, kind of announcing a memorial? And while the talk was going on about Dr. Manmohan Singh's memorial, the BJP is playing politics by announcing one on Pranab Mukherjee, calling his daughter Sharmishta Mukherjee, and to make that offer to her. Pranab Mukherjee's daughter Sharmishta has been very, very critical of the Congress party of late. That has also not gone down well within the Congress. There has been a distancing of the Congress from Pranab Mukherjee, which the BJP has always pointed out that anyone who does not belong to a Nehru Gandhi family, even when he was he was given the Bharat Ratna, no one from the Gandhi family turned up, and there was a sense of disrespect which was shown towards him by the Gandhis and by the Congress party in his later years.
Also, Pallavi, when, like you mentioned earlier, that how Pranab Mukherjee's visit to the RSS headquarters was something that was looked down upon within the Congress party. Take us through what was the situation at that point and what was the statements that were coming in. All right, I request you, Pallavi, to please stay with us. And as I'm joined by BJP leader RP Singh on this broadcast, Mr. RP Singh, there is criticism that is coming in from one of the Congress leader, Danish Ali, saying that it is because of his connection with the RSS, his visit to the headquarters, RSS headquarters, that the former president, Pranab Mukherjee, is being rewarded.
Well, there's nothing like rewarded. There's a protocol which happens, and it's part of the protocol which has happened. There's nothing, any special consideration. He's the former president. That's why space has been allotted to him for his memorial. So Danish Ali would have his own reasons for his political reasons, whatever we don't know. Probably to garner some goodwill within the party, or to be more close to the dynasty. He would be doing so. But government has nothing to do with the internal politics of the Congress party. It was due, and it has happened.
All right. You're saying it is due and it is happening, a protocol is being followed. But of course, the Congress party has in fact been alleging that why is it that the government is stretching when it comes to the former Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh's memorial?
No.
Why is it no decision being taken on that?
No, the decision has to be taken by the party itself, the Congress party, and the family members. It's a matter of the trust being formed, and the process is already on. So it will happen for Manmohan Singh also. The due is part of the due protocol which will happen. It's just a matter of time. They are trying to play politics into it. As I said, he wants to prove something to the dynasty, and he wants to be more closer to dynasty. That's why Mr. Danish Ali is raising the issue.
Also, how do you see the statement that is coming in from the daughter of the former president, Pranab Mukherjee, where she is in fact saying, time and again she has said that her father was never respected within the Congress, and even Manmohan Singh was never respected by the Congress party?
Well, we all know how do dynasty treat their subjects, and for them, the Congress party is the dynasty which decides everything, and then the rest all are subjects in the Congress party, whether it is the Prime Minister or whether it is the former President of the country.
All right. Thank you, Mr. RP Singh, for sharing your perspective as far as this issue is concerned, where Danish Ali has now hit back at the government, saying that the memorial is being given to former President Pranab Mukherjee because of his closeness with the RSS. Now, moving on, after central government has approved the earmarking of a designated site for erecting a samadhi of late Pranab Mukherjee, grandson of former Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao, N.V. Subhash attacks Congress over ignorance of P.V. Narasimha Rao.
By approving in the cabinet to erect a samadhi at Rashtriya Smriti in New Delhi, Modi ji has expressed